Hi, I'm Emily, and welcome back to Grief and Grace, a space to walk through the journey of loss and grief while showing grace to yourself and to others. And today I want to share about how my grief journey began. When I was younger, I had lost some loved ones, and I think I was just so young it didn't have a severe impact on me. But at 19 is when things really changed. I was actually living out of state at the time, going to college, living life, and I got a call from my dad one day, and he had been in and out of doctor's appointments. He hadn't felt great for a while, and so this one specific day he had some scans and tests done, and he had called me and told me that he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And at 19, maybe just living in oblivion, I was like, okay, you'll be fine. What do we need to do? And maybe that's when some denial set in as well, but I just thought he was going to be fine. He was going to do some treatment and he's going to get better. And so that was July of 2005. And in the following 2 months after that, I had lost my 2 remaining grandparents within a month of each other. And I was fairly close to both of them. And so that's kind of when I began to feel some emotions about death. And I saw the sadness that it brought to my mom and dad losing their last remaining parent. And then I actually moved back home about a month later to be with my dad and help do what I could. Keep in mind, still living in denial and just believing he was getting better. And then fast forward to the following May, 9 months after he was diagnosed, my dad passed away. I was 20 and he was just 54. I'll tell more about his story soon. But then 5 years after I lost my dad is when my mom was first diagnosed with breast cancer. And once again, denial. I didn't think anything was a big deal. She would be fine. And for a while she was. And if you knew my mom, she just never made anything a big deal. She could be in the worst pain and you would never know. And so, I knew she was going to get better. So that began the journey of 15 years of remissions and re-diagnosing. And so 4 times the breast cancer came back. And this past year it came back and just spread all over and got to the bones. And this past September, my mom actually passed away. And I'll go more into detail about her story as well soon. But I've lost people in between, losing my dad and my mom, but there's just nothing like the impact of losing your parents. My dad, he was my rock, my everything, and so when he was gone, I had to create this new normal, Then I lost my mom, and something hit extra hard about that. I don't know if it was because it was my last parent, if it was because it was my mom, the one who brought me into the world, or because I was at a different place in life, and maybe just a combination of it all. But when I lost my dad, I knew nothing about grief or loss. And I know I didn't handle things in probably the healthiest ways, but I promised myself this time I was going to face grief head on and be more vulnerable and share my stories and hoping to maybe help someone who's experiencing some of the same things. It just changed everything about me, and I've learned so much about one significant thing, which is grace, and having grace for myself, but also having grace for others. And maybe you can relate, or maybe you've been through something similar. Maybe you've lost a parent or lost a loved one, been on the cancer journey, a loved one been on the cancer journey, or maybe you just have a story you want to share about loss. I would really love to hear from you, and maybe start a conversation in the comments, just so we don't have to do this alone. We can do it together, and really maybe not make death and dying and grief as such a taboo subject. So please leave a comment and let me know your story. And until next time, remember, be kind and take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.